Yes. Hello and welcome to League of Loggers. Tonight we have episode 12. We are discussing the semifinals. And here we go. Kurt, back to you.
Alright, so the semifinals, so we had day one. Let's just go ahead, take them in order. Day one. Actually, you know what? We're going to go reverse order because one of them is just way more interesting to discuss.
That's fair.
We're going to go reverse order. We're going to start with day two, which was seed number one, Team Liquid, taking on their opponent of choice, FlyQuest, coming in as the number 4 seed after beating Golden Guardians last weekend. And I think we ended up predicting, 3-1, 3-1, 3-0 for Liquid. I believe that's what the predictions were.
Yep.
So we all had the right choice. It was just whether or not FlyQuest was going to get a game, and they were close in game one.
Yeah, the closest that they looked towards getting anything was game one. It was a very back and forth match. FlyQuest looked pretty good there a couple times. I was kind of watching while I was doing some other stuff too. So I was looking over. I was like, oh, FlyQuest crushing it. Look here. 3 seconds later, look back. What the hell happened? FlyQuest is not winning anymore.
And we'll talk about the comp more when we talk about the other series as well. But in that game one, we saw Team Liquid bring out the Sona Taric bot lane.
Yeah.
And what that comp does is, two things. You have to look at the bottom lane differently. It's a combined goal that you really have to focus on, because early on, you let Taric get all the CS. And then, because Sona's getting her support item gold by harassing, and so if she's getting CS, she's breaking that. So he gets the CS early, and she's getting support item gold from being there as well as harassing. And then once he completes item, then it becomes the Sona show. Sona takes all the CS from there on out. But that means you have a support. Even though you have two, it's still a carry Sona. She builds Rabadon's Lich Bang. I think it's tier, then Lich Bang, then Rabadon's is the usual order. But you still have a Taric because he was getting CS with so much more gold than usual.
He was up on the other support by
Oh yeah, if he's not, you're fucking doing it terribly. But because of that though, you have to look at the combined gold. It's okay, what do Sona and Taric have as a whole versus what does the AD carry and a support on the other team have as a whole? Because the AD carry is going to have more than the Sona. But it evens out, and they kept pretty close. The lane wasn't going exceptionally well for Team Liquid, but that comp is not about the lane. What makes it so strong is, just exactly to Alan's question here, what makes it so strong is the team fighting. Because in that comp, you're picking a couple carries. Who were their carries that match, if you don't mind reminding me?
That match were...
For Team Liquid Game 1.
Hecarim, Poppy, Zoe. They had Zoe. Unless you're talking about TSS.
Team Liquid, Game 1.
Oh, I'm on the wrong day.
Yeah, yes you are. They had Jace in the mid lane, I know that much.
That's right.
Yep, Jace, Sona, Taric, Olaf, Kennen.
Olaf, okay, so it was a Kennen, Olaf, Jace. So 3 people who can put out a lot of damage, and it was AP Kennen, mind you.
And it was Olaf's first win.
Yeah.
Ever?
Good job. Yeah. In the LCS.
He's won in the LCS this year. This year he had not.
This year he had not.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Well,
he's
the only one I've ever
I know.
watched,
Well,
so.
he said ever,
Okay.
and so
Sorry,
I knew
I
he was
didn't-
thinking all time.
Just this LCS he won. It was
Yeah.
Ever?
picked
So,
about 10 times.
And
then he
I
finally
like the
won.
little thing there. They picked the Jace early to kind of. This was a 2-game play that they picked the Jace early. Everybody's like, well, Impact's bad on the Jace, so and they picked a matchup into the Jace top lane, and then it was like, oh shit, that's it. Like I saw, I'm like, that's going mid. I know it, and it did. It went mid, and then the next game they picked it again. I'm like, okay, it might go top this time, and it fucking did. Because this time they're like, oh, well, obviously it's going mid to Jensen, and it was like, nope, Impact is gonna play, and he played fucking great on it, by the way. Finally, awesome, well done, Impact. Yeah. So anyway, though, with the Taric Sona, you have to make it just through the laning phase, and then when you get to team fights, you have 2 healers. And if you by chance have an Ocean Drake as well, good luck ever killing that team unless you burst somebody out. Because the moment some damage is done, Sona heals them and gets them a shield. And then Taric follows up with his heal. He switches over his I can't even think of what Bastion, I believe it's called. So all of a sudden now they have more armor and MR. So they're tankier. Yeah. And then he keeps popping his heal on them. And Sona's doing, so people are constantly getting topped off. And you have a lot of disengage because you have Sona's speed up for everyone. You have Taric's stun. You have the crescendo from Sona. Her ultimate, that's a stun. And if you do get into this fight, either where the other team's all in you or you're going in, you pop the Taric ult, and since you're all fast and you're clumping together, you get the Taric ult hopefully on all 5, maybe just 4 people. But now they can't damage anyone during that time, during which you can still be healed by your teammates. Like, that's the thing. It's just so impossible to fucking deal with. It's very similar at a low level to the Kindred Zillion thing. Where it's like, well, they can't die.
Yeah.
They just can't
It's
die.
more powerful, in my opinion. Because
Yeah.
Kindred requires you to get low, and that possibility of only being healed a smidge before eating shit.
Yeah, that all takes timing. Sona and
Yeah.
Taric can just fucking
Yeah.
mash the heal
They
button.
can.
Like, that doesn't... Like, the only timing required in that comp is obviously the people who are doing damage, doing all their normal shit, and then Taric ulting appropriately. And we did see, like, one time where Double Lift's instincts got the better of him. Like, he got engaged on, and, like, he's the Sona near the Taric, and he, like, flashed and tried to run away, and he got, like, fucked on because of it. But had he stayed there, he would have taken the Taric ult and just been fine and healed up. So, like, little things like that. But, yeah, that's what it is. You get to the mid-game, and unless you're really ahead, which FlyQuest was ahead, but not really ahead, you have a really hard time killing it. And a little bit... Wild Turtle did misplay slightly. He waited until he had 2.5 or 3 items before he went for Executioner's Calling. When the enemy team has 2 fucking healers, 3 because Olaf self-heals,
Yeah.
you don't wait. Like, you go, okay, I have boots and item. I'm gonna, maybe, like, finish my Zeal item to get that damage out.
Yeah.
But I need to fucking, get a healing reduction. I need to get Grievous Wounds. Like, I hope that Grievous Wounds is eliminated from the game at some point, because it is such a binary thing. It's like, do they heal? Must buy Grievous Wounds. Did you buy it? No, you lose. I mean, like, whenever you see a Vladimir, you have to fucking do it. Warwick, you gotta do it against him, too, because, like, he's just gonna fucking heal up, have fun.
Yeah.
And so often, especially, like, low-level play, people never fucking do it. Like, your AP laner should be grabbing Morella Nomicon, and your AD, auto-attacker should be grabbing an Executioners. And it's so nice for the AD person, because it's a cheap item. It's longsword, upgrade that longsword, done. Whereas Morella Nomicon, it's like, okay, I'll let you guys know when I have fucking, $2.5 grand. I think it's a 2,300 gold item or some shit like that for base.
Because it's like...
Oh, is it more?
Well, it's 1,500, 850, and then...
Oh, God, it's another, like, 13 combined, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah. It's an expensive fucking item. So, it's all sorts of messed up. But, yeah, that's what it is. It becomes this sustain comp that's just so hard to deal with. And then Sona also does massive poke damage once she gets online.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I was about to say, she even... I mean, Double Lift's character as Sona, like, the ult's a threat, the healing's a threat, but then that Q with the freaking Lichbane, and, like, it's just poking people.
Yeah, if you do Q...
With your...
Which hits, and then you get the auto that's empowered by
the
it.
empowered auto.
Like,
that's what I'm thinking.
and remember, it's interesting. So, like, the Q, or every aura she has an effect, right? So, like, the heal aura also gives a shield to, like, anybody in the aura.
Yeah.
The speed up, obvious.
Yeah.
The Q, or the Q, the blue one, makes your first auto attack do more damage.
Yes.
And then she gets that, but then she also, if she does the power chord, gets a super empowered auto off of it. So those
Which is
stack.
combined with the Lichbane.
And then you stack the Lichbane on top of that. So
all in one auto. Pretty much,
yeah, and the Q is most likely going to pick that as one of the 2 closest targets, the person you're autoing.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the spell damage, the amp from the spell,
So crazy. I love
the amp from her passive, and the Lichbane. Like, if you have a really big AP Sona, you can legit auto somebody for, like, 1,500 damage. Like, granted, if they have no MR and, like, you have tons of pen, all that. But still, like, she was probably hitting for, like, 600-800.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, a decent crit, basically.
I just remember Double Lift, like, chunking one of them at one point. It was, like, underneath the turret. Like,
oh, yeah.
Cued
Well, and then the amount of damage she does to a turret's even grosser, because AP is so fucking overpowered against structures right now. So, like, like, he was, like, he'd come in and, like, boom, take, like, a third off, and then everybody else would hit it a few times, and it would die. But, yeah, it's the sustain of that's gross. Overall, though, I think, like, even though Core JJ, as you mentioned, Alan, had a few ults where he was just a bit late, I mean, that comp suits somebody like Liquid so well, where their whole way to play is don't make mistakes, punish you.
Yeah.
And when, like, one, it allows them to make mistakes because they're just, like, impossible to deal with, and two, like, they turn every fight from like a 8-second ordeal into like a 20-second ordeal because they're the other team's trying to deal with your sustain. There's no way a team's gonna play a perfect team fight 20 seconds like 8 times in a game. Like, not gonna fucking happen. And then, yeah, like you said earlier, you saw FlyQuest ahead, and then all of a sudden you turned around and be like, and now Liquid's like in the base. What the fuck happened?
Oh, that's literally what happened.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, I was watching. FlyQuest had just done some magicness, and like we're pushing Liquid away. I look away for 20 seconds, and I look back, and they had literally just taken the bot inhibitor. I was like, what? I had to like rewind like 20 seconds. I was like, oh, that was disgusting.
Yeah. I absolutely... I would expect, because we didn't see TSM play that comp, either TSM will be spending the next week practicing and hopefully getting it done themselves, or they will be banning Taric.
Yeah.
Like, while Liquid didn't look... Like, a surface level, like, you see it and you're like, oh, they didn't look great. It was a close game. Honestly, I think that... it was said on the desk, I think Crumbs might have said it, but they're like, I don't feel like Liquid was ever completely on the back foot. Like, as much as they were losing, at no point was there a fight, like, at Liquid's base walls. Like, oh, they lost a fighter, and then they'd lose, like, an objective and a turret or something. But there was never a time where they were being sieged on, where all of a sudden that comp might be in danger. Mm-hmm. Like, it was always a fight out in the open. And it's like, okay, well, if they improve those fights a little bit or manage to learn to stall a little bit longer in those fights, then fuck, like, that's disgusting for that team.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that they're going to fix this strat like they do every other thing that comes along?
It's so creative. I love it.
The question is, how do you fix it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe only allow one support item per team. That would break it.
That would, yeah, and I think, and that would also fix all the other issues they've had with support items, because it's happened over and over. Where we saw the support item in the top lane, and we saw for a while AD carries, like you were doing double. What's the beginning thing of Face of the Mountain? Relic Shield. You were seeing double of that in the bot because the sustain was ridiculous. Like, we've seen multiple support items over and over. I mean, honestly, it feels like what they need to do is add a support style summoner spell, like Smite for junglers, because you can only take jungle items if you have Smite, because there was broken issues with jungle items where other people would take them because they're like, well, this is fucking good, why wouldn't I take it? Like, Runic Echoes was a jungle thing for a while, and or is that still the name of the blue one? I don't remember. It was broken as fuck, like Runic Echoes Ezreal would just, like, fuck people up. And, like, so they finally fixed it by going, fine, you have to take Smite if you want it. And so, I mean, I wonder if they would bring back Clairvoyance, which is a summoner spell that was gone long before you started. It was blue trinket, but it was just a temporary, like, there wasn't a permanent trinket. And
it just gives you vision on
yeah,
the area
like all of a sudden,
for,
like,
10
bump,
seconds,
yeah, an eye would pop up, and you'd have vision on this area for a little while, and then it would go away. So it's kind of Swain's. He has that one skill that's like that now. But yeah, like, I don't know, maybe get rid of blue trinket and make it a summoner, but you still want it on your AD carry. I don't know, like. Yeah. It's going to be an off-season thing, I think they have to do.
Well, so, I mean, granted, I've only seen it usually at low-level play, but I have seen AP Sona in the bot lane as the AD carry in a handful of my matches. Like,
because it's just really good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is, like, well before I saw it in pro play, at least, like, this weekend. Like, I mean, this is, like, the last year.
Oh, like a long time ago? I was going to say, because in the last few weeks it's been rising in popularity.
Oh, no. Like, this was, like, a year ago. Like,
okay, so it was just somebody playing
it. Yeah, I've seen, like, it peppered through, like, throughout the year that I've played. Like, it's not a common occurrence, and every single time I see it, I'm like, well, we just lost, because it always happens in my promos, every single time. And
you always lose to it. Oh.
No. It's always on my side.
Oh, it's on your side. I was gonna say because I would think you as a Warwick, you're like, guess who's ganking bot?
Oh yeah. Well, because like at first I'd be like, somebody's like, are you trolling? And then they're like, no, I'm really good at this. And then like I pull up their op.gg and I'm like, oh yeah, they've got like a 60% win rate on this. Okay, we're okay.
And then it just doesn't go well.
No. Like I'm saying, like I've seen it. And it usually goes well if they know what they're doing.
Okay, I thought you said like, we lost. So.
Well, I think we're going to lose.
And like I don't.
I look at it and be like, okay, well this is going to be garbage, and I just fucking lost my promo.
Yeah.
But then like I look them up, and I'm like, oh, you actually kind of know what you're doing
And
here.
like that speaks to a thing that has kind of happened as League has gone forward, where we don't see a lot of healing support. Like they haven't made a healing support in a while, because you have Soraka, Sona, Tarek got reworked. The last healing support made was Nami. Am I missing one? Like Lulu gives you health with her ult, but that's not the same thing because she just it's a percentage
really
increase, whatever. I think those are the 4 only ones.
I mean, there might be like a couple that have like a one ability that.
I don't even. I think that's
but I don't even think. Yeah.
I think the only ones who have an actual ability that heal you are Sona, Tarek, Soraka, and Nami.
Yeah, I mean, Soraka sacrifices health for healing. Nami's just a point-and-click heal. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they've gotten away from it because sustained bot lanes are not interesting. And what you're doing is making a double sustained bot lane. But if you completely remove healers from League of Legends, then, it just changes the game entirely. And also, how do you rework those 4? Like, I could see how you could change Tarek so he doesn't have healing anymore. Like, Nami, do you just make it so, the bounce is now damage and then, shielding or some shit? Or, a speed up? And Sona, you would have to replace, her heal, which is fucking... Her and Soraka. Healing is integral to their kit. That's always been what they are. And so...
I don't know. Why are we talking about taking it out of the game? I like
Well,
healing.
no, I was just saying, trying to... The way you fix this thing. And so it's either nerfing these characters, which is fucked up, because Sona's not even played the way it is. How they were talking about on the desk is... Okay, well, what do you do to make sure your opponent doesn't use the strategy if you don't? You ban Tarek. Why? Because nobody plays Sona. Sona's not good enough to play on her own. You might run Tarek in the bot lane. Or maybe you pick Tarek yourself, you first pick it and go, we'll run it in the bot, if it's not banned in, say, your blue side, you first pick Tarek and go, so you guys gonna pick Sona or you gonna let us have it?
Yeah, or use the ban on it.
Right. Well, I was saying, if, the ban wasn't already used on Tarek or Sona, first pick Tarek, and now you're forcing your opponent to either let you run Tarek Sona, or you have to pick Sona as your support.
You don't even get a ban before they can pick it, right?
Well, you get the 3, but if you didn't use one then. Yeah, so it'd just be so you have to use a ban on... I mean, you could use it on Sona, but that's a wasted ban. Use it on Tarek, because they might actually want to play Tarek.
Don't usually supports have either cleanse or barrier? Isn't it cleanse that they usually put on?
No, supports usually run flash heal. Or, I'm sorry, flash ignite or exhaust.
Exhaust, okay.
Yeah, use ignite if you are going for an aggressive lane, poke kill lane. And honestly, that's almost always used in pro play. It's almost always ignite. Exhaust has been used at times, but it's not good enough right now, generally speaking.
Okay. They run spellbook a lot too.
Yeah, it'd be hard.
Yeah, and the other thing is running spellbook so that they have everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a hard thing to fix. Immediately the thing that comes to mind is just make it so only one person on your team
can have a support item.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the way to go. The problem with that is then you enable trolls. Because if they can buy the support item quicker than your support can,
but I don't.
Your support's locked out of ever being useful.
I think that's going to be a minor.
Yeah, okay, you're right. That's hard to police then.
Do, I guess.
Yeah, they try not to super micromanage away from trolls. They do that all the time, where they're just people are like, oh, but people are gonna troll with this. Kench, you could totally troll with Kench by eating your AD carry and carry him into the opponents. You can fucking do that. It's you know what? We can't stop that without putting in weird parameters that don't even make sense. Oh, you always must run away from opponents if your allies in your mouth. That doesn't even make sense.
Like an automatic fear the second you eat your AD carry,
but
fear away.
Yeah, fear, but you're not slowed. Exactly. Yeah, that would be garbage. So I think instead it would probably have to end up with as a summoner spell type thing.
I would like to see more
or a trinket type thing. You have to have, a certain. And maybe they allow you to do sweeper trinket to start, and so it's if you take sweeper trinket. And at up until level 9, it's super bad. It takes forever. But yeah, if you take sweeper trinket, then you can buy support item, and that way, if you ran 2 supports a bot, you would both have support item but no warding ability. Yeah. So you would be super vulnerable.
Fair. But it builds into wards.
It does eventually.
Yeah, okay, I see what
But
you're saying. You're
for like 5-6 levels, you're
Yeah.
fucking open to being ganked like a mofo. So it's like at that point you would have at the pro level you would have to commit your own jungler to protecting bot lane, and that lets the other jungler either gank everywhere else pretty well unimpeded, or steal your jungle, or if you're not going to protect bot lane, they go bot lane and they get kills on 2 supports. So
That's interesting.
there's lots of little ways that might work, but God, is it a complicated issue.
I like how it is now. I think it's innovative and it forces the team to really deal with other aspects of the game that aren't just typical and standard. So.
Yep. Honestly, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I always like when a different comp's pulled out. Like when we saw mages in the bot lane more, and of course that just everybody started complaining who played marksman. They're like, oh, marksmans are worthless now. It's like, okay, well, a few of them are still good in mid. Like, I know you guys haven't played Corki and Varus in the mid in a while, but they're still good there. And, like, we've been seeing Corki again all of a sudden. Like, I don't think any changes were made to Corki. He's just, like, being played again. And it's like, yeah, he was never not decent. But, anyway, back to the actual matches we had.
Yeah.
That first one was the closest. And then after that, like, Liquid just walked away with it.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like anyways. They looked really good. And I mean, we talked about it last week when we kind of, like, led up to the game, where it's just like, well, if you look lane to lane, who would you rather have out of FlyQuest than you have on Liquid?
Oh, yeah.
And the answer was no one, really. Like,
Yeah.
Santorin's more aggressive, and that's great, but like, Smithy's super reliable. Like, Jensen over Pobelter, Impact over, blanked. Just blanked on the top laner.
Who are we talking about? FlyQuest?
FlyQuest. Viper, there we go. I mean, yeah, he's a rookie against a fucking world champion. And then double left core JJ against Turtle JJ. Like, in every lane, Team Liquid was better. And it showed. Like, in game 2 and 3, that's when it showed. Is just Liquid won all of the lanes and then pushed the advantage to finish it out.
Yeah. Was there any points in game 2 or 3 where Team Liquid was behind? Like, I feel like when I was watching it, it seemed like they were always ahead. And if they were behind, it wasn't by more than like 1,000 gold.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I don't think they ever had a significant deficit by any means. And not using like the actual technical term significant deficit, but like I don't think it was ever over like 1,000, or if it was 1,000, it was not there long. It was like, oh, they got some turret plates, and so that built it up or something.
Was game 1 where they had the sick double invade? Or was that game 2?
You mean where that wasn't what it was?
The insta death as the other team was trying to invade them?
It wasn't instant.
But they chased that motherfucker around.
Well, so because
they got the one immediately, and then they chased the other kill out to the lane.
No,
we're thinking about something different.
Yeah.
The Galio taunted 2 people?
No, this was like a level 1 fiesta.
Yeah, that's...
No one died.
No one died till like only the
I
one
could have
person.
sworn that was the second
They
death.
got chased down.
But it started with the double Galio taunt, I was thinking, right?
I don't think so.
Or it started with something, because they thought it was free, they came into the bush, and 2 people were in the brush behind red buff. I was thinking it was Galio.
Yeah,
It's been a while since I watched it, obviously.
Top, jungle, mid were up in the top bush by red buff, and then the bot lane was in the bush behind blue buff, and they face checked the bush, and they got wrecked, but no one died, and they ran away, and then like they kind of converged, and they chased them to their death.
Oh, it was the Galio who died. Or Galio who face checked, I should say.
All I
Yeah, Kennen fucking ran from top to get the kill.
Yeah.
Well, okay, no, then that would be game 1 then.
Yeah.
Impact played Kennen game 1.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that answers my question.
But yeah, it was Galio who face checked. That's why I was thinking, like, he got a taunt, and maybe he did scale it and like get it real quick, but it was like after he was getting messed up by because Kennen came down and the mid lane was already in the bush. I think I don't know.
It was Kennen.
It wasn't
Sona and
was it 3 people?
And the jungler up here.
Because it was 3 up top and then it was 2 down here.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it wasn't both of the bot laners in that brush.
Yeah, it wasn't both
one of them and then the mid lane.
It wasn't the bot lane.
Because Sona was up.
It wasn't both of them. It was one of them.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
It was cool to watch though. It was funny.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like you see, they're doing the invade, so you think that's like free, and it's just a mistake the way. It happened.
So because they must have seen the 3 of them up top and thought that the blue buff down below was going to be
and that's right on
free
on the
game.
run out. Impact had come all the way down, and they flashed over the wall, and he flash followed to get the kill at their blue buff.
Oh, look at them being all serious.
Yeah. So, anyway, though, like, I don't know, I feel like Liquid just in general... Oh, yeah, there's the fight. Was that seriously the first kill? I thought they had already gotten one.
Nope, that was the first kill.
Yeah, he killed JJ, so the Galio did die. It was just super extended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, because it started off with a handful of people up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the 3 up here.
Yeah, but it was the 2 face check, the 2 in the brush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like, overall, though, when it comes down to it, Team Liquid was just the better team. That's the expected result. I mean, maybe not quite as... If you're FlyQuest, you don't want it to be quite as decisive as it was, but that's what it was. Does anybody have other thoughts about the actual series? Because I really don't.
I don't have many. It was well played by Team Liquid.
Yeah, I think the interesting comp in Game 1 was the most interesting thing about it, and that was about it.
And we're already going backwards, so on day 2, we had already seen it on day 1, and now we're just seeing it on a different team. But it worked very well for both teams.
Yeah.
So.
No thoughts?
No, not really. They did like a pregame clip for, I think they were talking to Turtle. It could have been someone else on FlyQuest.
Turtle or Po Belter, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was Po Belter because he was like, yeah, like going up against my old team is kind of like, whatever.
You want to get revenge, man.
Yeah. But then like now that they've got like more than one Worlds winner on their team, it's just... They said something along the lines like, we didn't even expect to make playoffs, let alone get to here, so...
Yeah. I mean, FlyQuest definitely performed... I feel like beyond expectations is a bit rude, but I think that's true considering that 100 Thieves was expected to be in one of those slots. Like, heading into the season, you would have thought TL, Cloud9, 100 Thieves, and then... somebody else, probably TSM, even though they had a bad year last year, it's TSM. That's the only time they've been, missing finals. Like, literally, they missed finals twice, and it was both last year. Mm-hmm. And now they're back there again, which we'll get to in a moment. But, yeah, I think they did exceed expectations. Now, though, heading into the next split, what are the expectations for this team? What do they need to... improve upon, going into Summer Split? Because, I mean, while part of me says, yes, their expectations should be do this good again, I mean, as an organization, if you're not saying your goal is to do better... Is to be first. Yeah, then what the fuck are you doing if you're not like, okay, we should be better? I think their expectation is make playoffs again. If they're not a top 6 team next split, they messed up, because this team isn't bad.
Correct. I'm going to say the same thing I did about every other team. Like, it's hard to say... Like, I don't think any of them are going to get much better. Like, unless, like, in between these 2 splits, like, they boot camp really hard, or they pull some magic out of their asses. Like, I'm going to see them be in a middle-of-the-pack team next split, too. Which isn't a bad thing, but as far as getting better, I mean... Turtle was a little inconsistent there for a little while. I mean, the rest of the team wasn't great during a couple of those weeks, and they kind of pulled it together at the end. If they can kind of go into the next split with the momentum that they ended the spring split, I think they have a chance of maybe getting another rank or 2, but...
Yeah, I think I really like the middle of the team. I think Santorin, Po Belter, Wild Turtle, good players. They seem to be working well together. I think as far as, like, players on the team goes, if you can find an upgrade over JJ, I think it'd be a good thing. I don't think he's bad. I feel better about JJ than I do, like, Big, and I think statistically Big's generally been better over the course of his career, but I just don't see JJ make the plays that enable Wild Turtle.
And I think he makes mistakes more than that. Not just, like, he doesn't make, like, the team fights happen. He just walks into bushes and just dies.
Yeah, like, why was he face checking that, like, straight up? I mean, because Galio, his 3 skills, he's got the Winds of War, he's got his Taunt, and he's got his Justice Punch. 2 of those can be used, or actually no, all 3 of those can be used to better your face checking of a brush. Mm-hmm. Which one do you want to take at level 1? Fine, take it, use it to face check that brush. Throw your Winds in there, do the Justice Punch into it so that if somebody's there, you're immediately CCing them, or have your Taunt so that you can, like, walk forward and you're going to take less damage, because he took half his health, like, instantly.
I'm pretty sure he took Taunt.
When he took it, like, I think after getting hit though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because
I'm
generally,
only saying that 'cause I
honestly,
remember
generally
him
that's what you
dying
do is
with,
you
like,
don't take it until
bombs, so.
you're like, okay, I want this skill, and then you take one
Yeah.
at level 1. That's the best way to do invades and such, because you're never sure like if you need or like if, you know, say you were playing like Luxmid or some shit
Or Thresh. Do you want Hook or do you want...
Flay.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you don't want Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless maybe like you're running away and your 80 carries away behind, and then maybe you do take Lantern level 1 to get them the fuck out. But, you know, like say Lux Mid or whatever, normally she would want to take her E for wave clear and damage in the mid lane. But if you're doing an invade, you don't take anything, because if you do come across someone you can kill or someone you need to run the fuck away from, you take Q to get that light binding. You know, like the CC is necessary. So that's usually how you run invades. I just feel like with Galio, like, Hall 3 would have been worthwhile. Or, like, at least drop your ward at a distance instead of straight up face checking it. I mean, granted, obviously what they would have wanted to do is, like, lay 2 deep wards or 1 deep ward and then still have the other one, but it ended up being an issue. Like, they could have won that bot lane better. And top lane could have gone better, too, had Kennen not got off to an early start, you know?
Yeah.
But no, I think JJ is the one person I would like look to replace. I think Viper's going to get better. The comparison's been made that his first split, and he got Rookie of the Split, is similar to Licorice's first split. Licorice played lots of carries, almost entirely carries. He played some tanks, but wasn't great on it. And now, like, the dude's just the best top laner in NA. He plays everything. Like, if he's on Ornn, if he's on... what other tanks are even played up top anymore? Fucking no one.
Malphite did once.
Yeah, like, if he plays Ornn, if he plays Malphite, you know, if he's playing a Shen or a Poppy, he plays a great Poppy. Yeah. Like, if you see him on that, you're like, cool, Licorice is gonna crush it. If you see him on Gangplank, if you see him on Kennen, if you see him on... if fucking
Jace.
Fiora or Jax or Jace, you know, fall into his lap, you're gonna be like, yeah, he's gonna do fucking great, because he's Licorice.
Yeah.
Right
so
now...
Viper has potential to get better, whereas I think JJ's kind of like, he's just that kind of player.
Exactly, and I think the thing for Viper is he needs to be able to play a tank.
Yeah.
Because he can't right now,
I've
and that's a weakness for them.
Yeah.
Like, because
Y'all
they're
keep
constantly...
Yeah.
They're constantly going into these compositions where Santorin's aggressive, so he's generally not playing a full tank. Top lane's not playing a tank at all, you know, unless maybe he's playing something like a Vladimir, and he's sort of tanky, you know, just by damage and healing it. And so, okay, the 2 lanes that would normally be, like, your good tank are not. And, like, your support, even when it is a tank, isn't, like, a massive tank. So it's like, that's where I think this team needs to improve. Viper needs to have a more flexible champion pool. I mean, granted, you do need him to carry from time to time, but if he can't also play a tank, then your team's really one-dimensional, and that's like, okay, if we pick tanks and sustain, as long as we don't get blown up right away, we fucking kill the other team, because that Galio's not going to save everyone.
Yeah. I think that Viper is going to get better.
I think so as well, yeah.
And I think you're right about JJ. Is there anyone currently that they could pick up? Because, like, it kind of seems like a lot of these, like, player pools, like, if you're trying to find a replacement that's somebody that's better, you've got a very shallow pool.
It would be somebody out of Academy or somebody who's in solo queue that they don't know.
Okay.
I don't know who their Academy is. I assume it's not better. But most of the good supports are already up in, that we know of, are already in the LCS. I mean, TSM Academy actually it was TSM Academy beat Cloud9 Academy for the Academy Championship here back on Thursday, Friday, whatever it was. Yep. And I can't think of who their support is, although I feel like that team was a lot of Grig just kicking ass down there and taking names. But, I mean, we saw Cloud9 Academy's Diamond. He's not a bad support by any means. You know, somebody like Smoothies, obviously, on the team. Like, all the best ones are out there. I've heard so many people complaining, and I think it's them being idiots. But if CLG were to get rid of Biofrost, I would snatch him up in a fucking instant. I think Biofrost is actually a very good support who's been underrated for now for a while because he's just not on a great team.
Drink more water.
Yeah. So, I think
Biofrost for JJ? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, like, he has to... Who would you get, like, for support? And I think first thought is it would have to come from Academy, just because most of the good ones are already snatched up. The only really good support I hear people complaining about is Biofrost, and I would snatch him up immediately if CLG were dumb enough to let him go.
Yeah.
The other one would be, if Optic would allow it, get Gate.
Ooh, that'd be good. I like that.
Those are the two who
Gate and
have more than a game in LCS that I immediately jump to. Biofrost first, and then Gate a gap behind because he's not as proven. But yeah, I would say either of those are great pickup. If you see somebody like Hakuho or some shit dropped, yeah, I'd snatch them too. So the only people I wouldn't want to snatch up in LCS for supports are Big and JJ. Like I would
And
even
Moo.
grab Afro Moo under the circumstances that he's coming to a team like FlyQuest that doesn't have big ass stars.
Yeah.
Like it has some former LCS champions. It's got Pobelter, it's got Wild Turtle. Afro Moo and Wild Turtle might be a really good combination.
Maybe.
It's worth a shot. And if he doesn't work out, you still have JJ. Like I wouldn't drop JJ unless I think I have two people who are better than him, and I'm assuming you don't because he played the whole season.
Yeah.
Or split.
I mean, if we get rid of JJ, that gets rid of the confusion between trying to
Yes.
talk about core JJ and JJ.
Yeah, but
in
you
the
still
same-
have Sven and Svenskeren.
Yeah.
It's hard especially when they're playing like against.
Yeah, it was during this series when
Yeah.
they catch this. Should we just start calling him Skaren? But yeah, because I mean, most of the time you just call him Sven. Like you don't even say Sven Skaren, you just say Sven, and like
There's a
shit.
distinct difference.
At least
between
Sven's an
Sven
actual
and Sven.
person's name. Sven is like edgy teenager with X's around the sides of his
Is it
name.
right?
I mean, I don't think anybody would actually spell it Sven, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not fucking. I assume
Mr.
he's
Linguistics.
Danish. I'm almost positive he's Danish. Like all the imports are Danish.
Yeah.
Typed in Sven, and the only thing that came up was Sven from League.
The only thing or the top thing?
I mean, the top thing. Usually, if you type in like
He's
a
like
name,
the entire first page.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like usually, if you type in just a single name, that
Yeah,
could
any of
potentially
them.
also
True.
be a
Well,
real
Well,
name.
it could also be like a short name. I don't know, but
It's possible.
so anyway, I mean, did you have any last thoughts on FlyQuest? All right, so let's move on from FlyQuest and let's move on from Team Liquid and let's go into the far more interesting matchup we had this weekend.
Yeah.
Cloud9 and TSM. Chase
Now we have
Beerby.
the right ones up.
Do you need a beer to talk about this section?
I need multiple. I need hard liquor to talk about this. So we're sitting here not sitting here. We were in a bar running our Smash tournament, and fuck it, like Chase at the beginning of the day, he predicted Cloud9 3-0, Cloud9 3-2,
Yeah.
Cloud9 3-2,
Yeah.
and he did 3-0. And I told him right away, I'm like, I'm blaming you if they lose. Why would you do this to my boys? Why would you jinx them? And he's like, I got confidence. I'm like, I'm blaming you if they lose. So I'm sitting there and like, I see what time it is, and I'm shoutcasting the matches in Smash, and I pull up my phone. I'm like, they won the first game. All right, good. And then I wait a little while later, and I told Jason, I'm like, they won the first one. He's like, see? And then the second one, I'm like, 2-0, Cloud9. He's like, I'm telling you. And a little bit later, I'm like, 2-1, you're wrong. And then like later on, I'm like, it's 2-2. I'm blaming you, Chase. He's like, just wait. And then like I'm sitting there like in the middle of I think the like penultimate match, like it was like losers final, and I'm like, oh, fucker, and like you can probably pick up the audio of me tossing my phone onto the desk, like and just be like,
If you find that
bitch.
clip, you have to clip it.
Like you
for
can't
us.
see me, you can't because
Really?
a match was literally
Okay,
going
but if you
on.
find it and like you hear yourself say that,
it's-
clip that shit.
Yeah, I said it pretty quiet. You could probably just hear the thump of like the phone. But yeah, I was just like, I told you I was blaming you. To be fair, going into the day, I honestly thought it would end up 3-2 TSM, and I was just
Same.
going with my heart, 3-2 Cloud9, and
I thought that Cloud9 had a really solid chance, and they did
you're
after
right.
game 2.
They did before, like even after all 5 games. That was such a fucking even series.
I'm saying like it was very real that they could 3-0 them.
Mm.
Like
They did almost win game 3. I feel like.
If Niski had taken it more seriously and picked something that on game 3, I think
Okay, so let's dive right into
It's
game 3.
right at it,
No,
yeah.
like because that's where I think we all have like the most feelings
Yeah,
about things.
of course.
So game 3, Niski picks Zed
Yes.
into the zone.
And here's the thing, like I feel like the crowd there and like most people watching were all like, "Fuck yes," but it didn't play out, and it's disheartening to see. And even like as a spectator in our while we're sitting there being like, fuck yes, we're going to see Zed, we're probably thinking, he probably shouldn't have gone Zed, but let's see how it works.
So you didn't like the pick, though? Like,
I mean, I liked it because I haven't seen it.
No, but I mean, like, at the end of the day, you think he was, like, screwing around?
Not so much screwing around, but overly confident to pick it to make a stylish win.
See,
on a third street, basically.
And my feeling, like, people have been talking for a while, when will we see Zed, because he got buffed. Like, they got rid of, it used to be when you killed some, was it on your ult? Yeah, or whatever, but, like, you killed somebody and, like, you got AD based on, like, who you killed, and like, so you had to focus, I think that was just in his passive, maybe, was you had to try and focus to, like, kill an AD carry right away, so you would get AD, and then you would, like, go after other people, rather than, like, oh, I want to go after the mid, like, he's squishy. Well, yeah, but so is the other guy, and it will buff me for the subs. So they got rid of that, and, like, they gave him some buffs as compensation. There's a bunch of stuff done. Makes him more of a lane bully early. I think they lowered the cooldown on his Q and maybe dropped the energy requirement on it so he can spam the shurikens more. There's lots of little tweaks done that buffed him. And people have been saying, at top level, like, when will we see Zed again? Because he is, like, there now. He's super fucking hard to play. Like, the skill ceiling on him is insane. But, like, it's there now. And I think, like, while there might have been a little bit of, like, stylishness in it, honestly, I think it was, how the fuck do I deal with Zoe? Because Zoe's a piece of shit, and everyone hates her. And I think the idea with Zed is, if she R's in, I R on her, I end up where she ends up, and I'm already doing damage, plus I'm leaving my shadow way the fuck behind so I can get the hell out. I feel like it was something that they probably practiced with their academy team, and it felt like a good counter, but it did not pan out in this game. Like, it did okay at best.
Yeah.
So Devo in I think the loggers chat over the weekend, like, it's not here now.
Okay, yeah.
He said, when are they gonna ban Zoe? Like, I think he said that Zoe's gonna have one of the highest win rates.
Yeah. Well, and they wanted it for Niski, because Niski was crushing on it too. Both teams, that's the thing, both teams want Zoe, and neither of them fear it so much that they're willing to ban it. That's Lissandra. Because you saw Lissandra was banned every single game of that series, I believe. And it was always separate team. Can you scroll to the left just a hair? Sorry. In game one, Lissandra's banned by Cloud9. Understandably, all 5 games, because that's what Bjergsen had fucking just won the previous series on. He played Lissandra 3 games and won. We saw Silas banned by both sides, I believe. Yes, it was always banned. Silas was the one that was always banned by red side. Because that's the one, it's like, you don't want to give it to Bjergsen, you don't want to give it to Niski, you don't want to give it to Licorice. Like, both teams said, no, fuck this. It's not worth letting the other team first pick it. So it was always banned by red side. Zoe falls just below that. Like, I feel like it should be a little bit, like, both teams feel like, oh, we can beat the Zoe, and apparently one of the picks they thought they had pulled together to counter it was Zed. And in Game 5, C9 did have Zoe and lost with it.
Yeah, that's true.
It was Game 4, I was thinking.
It was Game 4?
No, I was thinking the Zed was Game 3, but it was actually Game 4.
Game 4. You're right.
So maybe I was thinking it was Game 3 because I figured Niski just pulled it out too. I don't know why I mixed up.
I don't like that keeps showing up. And it's funny, Crumb said it on the desk, and I liked it during the regular season. I don't like it in the postseason. Jarvan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Jarvan. Because Rek'Sai has become such a priority. Like, we saw it happen with TSM versus Fox, where the Jarvan and the Rek'Sai will get your shit kicked. That's what it will do. Rek'Sai will fuck him in the ass. And then we saw in Game 3, Svenskeren and be like, you know what I'm going to play? The Jarvan. Yeah. And he played it into Gragas. So it's like, okay, bit better, but I still don't... I got it then. And then, I believe he blind picked it in Game 4? Was the Jarvan picked before the Rek'Sai in Game 4?
Jarvan was first picked.
Yes. Like that, although, I'm sorry, Rek'Sai was banned that match, though, wasn't it?
No, it was
nope,
in J-
not yet.
Okay, and then he first picked Rek'Sai the last match, which I was fine with. But I don't understand, when Rek'Sai is up, when Acadian showed that his best matches are 3 Rek'Sai games into 3 Jarvan games, why the fuck would you blind pick Jarvan? Like,
I agree. I'm
and,
right there with you.
And people on Reddit
You give it to
like
him.
freak out at Reaper over his drafts. And I honestly, you just have to put faith in it because Reaper has had so many brilliant drafts that I can't get on his shit about that as much. Like that's what happens is he's gonna take risks and he's gonna tunnel on shit, and sometimes it's fucking genius and sometimes it doesn't work out. That one bothered me a little bit, but I can't. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's the execution of the team. Game 3, Sneaky misexecuted in the fight in bot lane that Bjergsen TP'd in way behind and ended up getting like 3. He got
As
2
a
or
caller?
3 himself, yeah. And then the rest of the team like cleaned up
Yeah.
4 of them. I think Licorice is the only person. Like Sneaky actually misexecuted in that. In Game 5, Zazel misexecuted 2 initiations, and I understand it was a hard place to be because you had Ornn. And you have to do something so that Braum busts his shield out. But honestly, like, Zazel was just showing up too early and trying too hard to make it happen. Like, there's desperation in his play. And also, like, the Ornn pick, I'm not completely against it because it is Licorice and he's really good on it. But you picked it into the Braum. Like, Braum's a hard Ornn counter. Like, if you're fighting into a team fight, okay, like, they're going to be grouped up. So we saw the games that Cloud9 lost, I firmly feel that it's because TSM was a better team fight team. Like, I said it going into the thing, that I feel like TSM's a lot like Liquid, in which they play pretty slow and very consistently and tightly, and they wait for you to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I thought Cloud9 would have the advantage because they force mistakes. And in Game 3, 4, and 5, they weren't able to force enough mistakes that their mistakes late didn't matter. Because in Game 3, 4, and 5, they made plenty of late teamfight mistakes, and TSM just was all over them.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to TSM. They were the better team on the day. And, I mean, to segue into what that team has to improve, I don't want to see any players leave, whatever. I think they need to...
Keep going.
I think, personally, I think they just need to fucking clean up.
Yeah.
Like, be aggressive still, but be a little more put together. Like, if Zazel's going in, make sure everyone is there with him. Because the only times they, like, drastically lose team fights are when Zazel goes in and nobody is in range to follow up. You know, things like that. I like how everyone's playing. I just think as a team, they are slightly less cohesive than TSM and TL, and that's what makes those two teams so fucking good. Like, if they can be that cohesive and as aggressive as they are, they should fucking walk through the season dropping 3 games. And, like, they only dropped 4 this split, but
Yeah.
fuck. Hey, what were you gonna say? You,
Well, you were talking about C9, but
Yeah.
I was mad during
Move on.
watching it, like after game 2. I don't know how serious the chatter was, but talks of putting Grig in over Acadian. I was like, that would be the rudest fucking thing you could do as a coach.
Yeah, no.
You either win or lose with Acadian, who has helped get you this far.
To be fair, Grig was their jungler last year,
I get that.
and he was
but-
like, he was very much, and he was going to be the jungler this year, except he had a wrist injury, and he dominated in Academy. He was he was the best jungler in Academy over Blabber, like, who has gotten plenty of LCS play. Grig's better. I think. I get the talk because Cloud9 actually did it last year, where they were behind a TSM and they brought in Golden Glue and Blabber and they won. Like, it's just like that was the change they needed. Like, it was a different kind of play style, and I get the talk of it, but I agree with you, and I liked the desk said it too. Is this is spring split?
Yeah.
This is your opportunity. This is the first playoffs Acadian's ever been in. This is your opportunity to get him this experience, to get him a situation where it's pressure. Like, he's never been in, okay, you lose, you go home situation. He needs that time now. They changed up the pick for him a little bit. It worked out well. When it came down to it Bjergsen. Bjergsen went fucking hard carry game 3, 4, 5. Like,
He was the player of the series.
oh,
right?
yeah. Like, Sven did better on the Ezreal. Acadian, like, chilled out. The team as a whole said that coming into that series, they felt a lot of pressure, and then after you lose 2 games, it's like, oh, whatever, let's go out and play. Like, if we lose, we've done it twice already. Nobody expects anything now. Let's just fucking go. Which I get, it's kind of funny, because if you don't come in with pressure, when you end up in that match point, then there's lots of pressure, and it kind of works the other way. It's like, there's all this pressure. It's like, well, okay, this is what we expected to happen. We were going to lose. Let's fucking go out and go.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like, they chilled out, and honestly, more than anything, I feel like Bjergsen just fucking put on his carry pants and went to town. Chase, how do you feel about that series?
It was disappointing, to say the least.
Wait, hold on. Let's actually stop on that word for a moment. Disappointing. Explain disappoint. Like, I'm not saying I don't understand, but I want to see your viewpoint of why it was disappointing.
Well, so game 1 and 2, Cloud9 just came out and they looked so good. Like, it wasn't even... I don't even think it was that close. I think that Cloud9 just stomped them.
They were fast games, but I feel like
it was like, what, 26 and 27 minutes, something like that?
I feel like they did turn very hard on, like, a fight, and Cloud9 just closed it super hard.
Yeah.
I don't know that they were, like, super stomps, like, all the way through.
Sure.
It was, like, close, and then, like, Cloud9 got the upper hand, just went bam, and, like, just smashed them over the head.
And then to be on match point after game 2, and then you let Bjergsen just do Bjergsen things, like, I mean, that's where it was disappointing. Like, I mean, TSM played really well. If I were smarter, I would have picked TSM, but I thought Cloud9 had this in the bag. Like, I mean, TSM looked good, and they've looked good for most of the split, but I think that Cloud9 has looked better.
I agree. I mean, game 3, that fight bot lane, I think if that's played a little bit better, Cloud9 wins that fight and then wins the game within the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, it might have happened.
And they almost won game 5, too.
Yeah.
Well, and Heather mentioned that, like, the Niski showing off a little bit, like, I mean, like, kind of flexing, playing some flashy stuff, and, like, he had a couple missed plays, and I don't know.
Everyone except Bjergsen game 3, 4, 5 had missed plays.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
I mean,
actually, no, he even had one, but I'll come back to that.
Game 1, like, the C9, as TL did, they pulled out the Sona Target. That's when we first saw it. And I think the comp's just so hard to fight against, and you're not really prepared for it, that TSM was going to lose that regardless. On the next game, C9 picks... well, actually, let's say this first. TSM picks Jarvan as their jungler first, and gives Rek'Sai to Svenskeren. When you know Acadian's way better on Rek'Sai, pick that first, and then, you know, maybe Svenskeren picks Jarvan or anything else that Rek'Sai's just gonna shit on anyways, you know? And I think maybe that game could have gone differently if they drafted differently, and they drafted like they just completely derped or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've talked about it a couple times this season, or this split, that something apparently was really, really good in scrims. And Jarvan has to be that thing. That people are still willing... Because even though in every playoff game we've seen, if Jarvan's picked, Rek'Sai just crushes it. And especially, like, TSM did it 3 times in a row. And I could understand if, like, that was the only champion Rush was, like, doing really well on. But, like, they had just experienced that. And then C9 did it too, even though they had seen Rush get his ass kicked. They did it once too, where they first picked the Jarvan. And once again, it made sense with the comp because you have a Jinx. If you can get 3 or 4 people stuck together and Jinx can just go Runaan's rockets on them, you shred everyone. And we saw a fight where it worked, and it did all the fucking damage.
You just get them in the thing and put out your chompers.
But at some point, you're going to be counting on the Jarvan engage, and the Rek'Sai is going to unburrow while he's EQing and completely fuck that fight. We saw it when it was Cloud9 on the Rek'Sai. We saw it by their own red buff, and a beautiful GP ult from Licorice zoned out the 2 marksmen, Corki and Ezreal, and they got... Or, I'm sorry, Corki Varus, and they got fucking nothing done, and that fight was decidedly Cloud9. And then we saw it the other way, too. So... You know, it's something that had to have been good in scrims, I guess. And when it comes down to it, I think it was just a matter of who played more cleanly in the end. Because I said, we saw Bjergsen make mistakes in those 3 games. I guess no, it was game 2 when he was on Corki, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so never mind, it was game 2 he made the big... Because he only played Corki the once. Because there's a fight where... they had already lost somebody. They're leaving towards mid from Dragon. There had been this... Oh, yeah, it was the Jarvan came in. And Niski immediately... It was on Morgana. He immediately flashed out over the wall. He might have even flashed the damage.
Yes.
He Q'd, which rooted the Braum, so the Braum wasn't able to get his ult in. The Sneaky on Jinx flashed out. Kench ate him, started walking away. You see Broken Blade come in on the Kennen with his ult, and so it's not hitting the Jinx, obviously, because she's in Kench. Then Kench goes stopwatch, so he doesn't end up getting stunned or taking the damage from it. Jinx gets spit out, whatever. And they start fighting back in. They've already killed the Jarvan because he was half health when he went in, but he was going for the CC.
Yeah.
They killed Braum because he was locked the fuck up. The other 3 are leaving. And you see... I'm sorry, he wasn't on Jinx, he was on Ashe?
I don't remember.
I think Sneaky was on Ashe game 2. Yeah, he was definitely on Ashe. Because what happened in the misplay here was an Ashe arrow was fired, and it's going to hit Bjergsen. Like, there's 3 running, he's the trailer, and he's on Quirky. And he stopwatches so the arrow misses him. Now, 2 things. If you stopwatch, and the other team's chasing you, they're not that far behind, they're still gonna fucking kill you when you come out of it, unless you have, like, the perfect flash and then Valkyrie away.
Yeah.
Probably not gonna happen. Second thing, by stopwatching it as the caboose of this fucking train, you just doomed the person in front of you, which is exactly what happened. Somebody else was in front of him, and whoever, I don't even remember, but, like, they're walking away. I think it might have been Sven, but, like, he stopwatches, so the arrow hits the other fucking person, so they kill that person who's stunned for a second and a half, and then that person's dead, and then Bjergsen comes out of the stopwatch, and they kill him, and it's just, like, giant mental error.
Yeah.
Like, does it change that game? No. But, like, that's the kind of mistake that decides the games, and it's the kind of mistake Bjergsen did not make in 3, 4, 5. He made that in game 2, and he played so smart and so clean in game 3, and those are the kind of mistakes we saw Zeyzal make in game 5. You know, like, that's the difference. And in a series that close between those good of teams, that makes the difference. I think TL, I mean, here we go, moving on perfectly. TL and TSM. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. Because they play a very, very similar style. It's so weird because I'm hearing so much shit on Reddit, and people are so fucking crazy and wrong. They're like, oh, TSM plays super aggressive, and FlyQuest plays super slow, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you guys realize TSM has the longest average game time. Like, while they do play somewhat aggressive early, they have no ability to close out early. They don't know how to fucking do that.
Well, TL does. I mean, if they get a Baron...
TL closes out mid-game. They have, like, the second slowest. They're one of the slowest teams as well. It's because they don't do anything until 20 minutes. They wait until you fuck up at 20 minutes in the mid-game team fight, and then they roll you over. Like, because even their fast games we saw, like, they weren't... like, they were winning all the lanes, but they don't, like, shove that advantage down your throat. They wait until the team fight, and then they kill you. You know, it's not Cloud9, like, the aggression we saw from Cloud9, even in Game 5, and, like, I think it's a perfect example of it, I guess, to go back a little bit. In Game 5, Cloud9 TSM, we see there's a fight at TSM's base, and then Cloud9's, like, or, I'm sorry, at Cloud9's base, because they were red side, and then maybe this was Game 4, right? It's all fucking a haze.
Yeah, no, it's all, like...
Yeah, no, it was Game 4. So, Cloud9 had been pushed in at their base, and they got, like, a kill, and TSM's retreating, and they went with the aggressive TP behind. They're like, let's fucking go! And, like, they got a kill, and it didn't end up going great for them, and they end up losing off of that, and it gets pushed through that bot lane eventually. But it's that massive aggression that Cloud9 is always willing to show. If they can do that aggression, but play as clean as TSM and TL do in their team fights, I don't know how you fucking deal with that.
I wouldn't.
But neither of those teams have that aggression. TSM is closer to it, though. So
you think TSM is?
I think TSM is closer to the aggression, but I think TL is cleaner.
Okay.
Which is why I think this matchup will still be interesting, even though they play a very similar style. In my opinion, they play a very similar style.
So, in the TSM series versus C9, Sven misses, like, a ton of our results. At least 2.
It's Varus ult, man. That's how it works. You just 50-50, man.
But I think that's a Sven thing. Like, if it's a skill shot...
it's an everyone thing.
Is it an everyone thing?
Yeah.
Well, he's playing Varus by choice.
Though. Yeah, right. Varus ult is, like, memed on for being like, oh, you always miss it.
But if it's coming down to him versus Double Lift, then I'm thinking Double Lift has that lane easily.
I think Double Lift's a better laner than
that's what I'm
Sven.
And with Core JJ as a backup versus Smoothie.
And like as good as Smoothie is, Smoothie's prowess is more in team fights. I feel like anyway.
Okay.
I mean,
so
'cause-
I'm eager to see that though, like the double lift Corday matchup versus Zven and Smoothie, and whether or not Zven takes like a horribly skill shoddy champion.
Alan's calling 5 games TSM.
5 games TSM.
How does everybody else feel here on this matchup?
I think it's very possible. I don't think it's out of the realm of possible.
God, it's so hard.
Well, it's not impossible. You're right, because 5 games is how many they're allowed, and TSM is one of the teams playing.
I'm saying that like, well, I mean, it'd be like if Golden Guardians versus TL happened by some miraculous.
You're right.
There's no
There's
world.
no 3-0 Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
I think a 3-2 is always possible, no matter what the matchup is, though. To be fair.
Yeah, I would be surprised if this goes 3-0. I bet this one goes the distance, or maybe not the distance. I bet it's at least a 3-1.
I think
and
5 games is most
probably
likely.
a 3-2 in TL's favor.
I would say 5 games, 4 games, 3 games, like in that order. Like 5 games is probably the most
on TL's side
likely. I'm leaning towards TL.
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to it, we've finally seen Impact play some carry champs. I think it'll be best if he defaults back into some tankier ones against Broken Blade. I think Xmithy, like we saw how much Svenskeren just like fucked on Acadian in game 1 and 2, and honestly, like game 3, 4, 5, it wasn't like Acadian crush it. Like Acadian did way better. Don't get me wrong, but it was a well played, well coached team effort.
Yeah.
To play into Svenskeren rather than allowing Svenskeren to dictate.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do that against Xmithy.
Yes, I agree.
Because, I mean, we see it. Xmithy falls behind and goes, fine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to crush this lane. And so I mean, Jensen and Bjergsen, I give the advantage to Bjergsen just because, I mean, one, we've seen Bjergsen be playoff MVP by a fucking mile so far. No one is playing the way Bjergsen has through 2 series. It's gross.
That'll be a good lane too.
Yeah. Like, even when he lost game 1 and 2 to Cloud9 and did not look great.
It didn't look like it was his fault.
Yeah.
Really.
And the 3 games that they won were on his fucking back, no deaths. It was disgusting. So, I think Bjergsen is a force, and he, to be fair, like, as much as Jensen, like, has generally had his number in lane, Bjergsen just helps the team way more, and I still think that's true. And then bot lane, I think bot lane's gonna be a good matchup, but double lift core JJ is gross.
Yeah.
It just fucking is.
It's not nice.
And I think
they aren't
when it comes down to it, if you're looking at 2 teams who one has some aggression, but they both mostly play around playing a very clean team fight and capitalizing on your mistake, because even though TSM like has that early aggression, how do they win games? You make a mistake in the team fight and then capitalize on that. Their aggression is just to force you in to maybe get some leads early so that they can do that. But I mean, we saw the stat, like their record from behind is 78% or some shit. And
really?
It was 77.8 when Cloud9 was leading behind at 15 minutes or whatever, and that was like one of the last 3 games.
I'll get it later. Just don't step on it.
But yeah, they're super good from behind. But that's because that's the style they play. The same goes for Liquid. I'm sure they're behind at 15. Record
they
is
don't sweat it.
Immaculate.
Just,
right. Their game style is not to win early.
Yeah.
And I think though when you're looking at 2 teams, but be behind by a margin, not a large one. But I think when it comes down to it, 2 teams who are doing that, I'm gonna trust the one that I think is even cleaner, and I think that's Team Liquid. I think Team Liquid at most positions, I think, are slightly better. Everything but mid, basically. And when it comes down to it, like, they, as a team, are so clean. It's the old Korean model, where it's like, we're not going to make mistakes. We're going to wait for you to make a mistake. We're going to beat that mistake, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah.
I think TL will win. I also think they will do... just because I think other regions, basically Vietnam, has gotten weaker recently in the last 6 months, I think they and Europe, along with China and Korea, will manage to get the 4 number 1 seeds for Worlds at MSI, because that's how it works. The top 4 teams make it on for a number 1 seed at Worlds.
How many teams go to Worlds?
Worlds? Lots.
Sorry, it's not Worlds. How many teams go to MSI?
Top team from each region.
Each region.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more than 4 teams.
Yes, it's a lot of teams.
The first 4 get.
Yeah, so there's a like group stage,
Yeah.
and so you have to make it out of that group stage to make it to the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. I think it's into top 4, but yeah. Anyway, I think they'll be good enough to do that. But I think playing the old Korean style is not good enough now, and then China will smack down whoever. And I think Europe's better than that too. They play more aggressive too.
It's gonna be
So unless they play Korea, TL has probably no chance at MSI when it comes to that best of 4. And even against Korea, Korea's going to do Korea better than TL does Korea.
So are we doing any kind of bets for it if we pick different teams, or are we just foregoing all this?
We can do bets.
All right, because that I mean at the current, I'm thinking it's a 3-2-2 as well. 3-2 as well. Excuse me. It just sounds weird. But I can just as happily pick TSM to win this.
If kind of where I'm at, I could it really could
if
go
it gives
either
some
way
kind
at
of
this point.
competition
Like,
between
to Alan's credit, yeah.
As Alan mentioned, Bjergsen has Jensen's number. However, I think
hope
every other lane has TSM's number.
Yeah.
Like Impact is fucking Impact. Double Lift and Core JJ is the best bot lane that NA has ever seen.
You're praying on like the wings of an angel that Core JJ makes a mistake, and that's at his peak. This is not gonna happen.
like Xmithy is the most consistent.
Yeah.
Like honestly, as much as there's other junglers that I like to shout credit to in NA, Xmithy is the best jungler who has existed in NA. Like, he hasn't always been the best at that given moment, but the fact that he has always been like top 2, top 3 over the fucking course of 5 years is ridiculous.
That's cool.
Like, how do you deal
with that? Because I saw a jungler in this split, in the terms of Xfinity, or as we're talking about him, good, really shitty for 3 games, and then really good for 3 more.
I don't even think he was bad all 3 of those, but yeah.
Probably not. It was at least 2 of them.
No.
That Xmithy was just not
best players in NA, like, mid is Bjergsen. It just is. Like, he has been... he's always top 2, at worst top 3 in NA for like 5 fucking years. You know, same goes for Xmithy in the jungle. Top, like, probably the longest standing would be Impact at this point, you know? Like, nobody else has dominated. Like, maybe Licorice in a few years we can say that he's the best, but right now it's Impact. I don't know who else you would put in that. Bot lane, it has to be Double Lift. There's no fucking question it's Double Lift. Like, other people have been good, but no, Double Lift's always one of the top 2, 3. And then support doesn't have that consistent one. It doesn't. I think Smoothie's probably the best argument for, like, the long-term one, but it's shifted around so much over the years that I can't put one on there. Biofrost would be another one who did really well, but he's been on some bad teams for a while and not done well. And by bad teams, I mean just CLG. So... yeah, like, when it comes down to it, okay, so we have the best top laner and the best jungler and the best bot laner over the course of LCS's history versus just your best mid laner.
Yeah.
And, like, Jensen's consistently been the dude just behind Bjergsen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's enough Bjergsen magic to overcome it. As much, and it's funny, because, like, in the past, like, I've been a detractor of TSM, just like that rivalry, the C9 TSM rivalry. But I'd be totally fine if they won this time. Absolutely. I still think TL's a little better. I'm going 3-2 TL.
Okay.
That's my money. Right down.
I think one of my favorite parts of day 2 is when you could still hear people yelling TSM in the background.
Even though they're not playing.
Yeah, they're like, TSM, and they're like, and we've got the TSM fans here, and they're not even playing, or it must have been day 1.
TSM has been chanted at tournaments that they're not even present at. Like at MSI when Liquid goes.
God. It's like
international people will yell TSM, just because it's a meme at this point. So who do you guys got though? I put mine down.
He said TL too, but that
did he? Okay, well, he just said I said 3-2 TSM, or I'm sorry, 3-2 TL. Yeah. I'm putting it down. If we're gonna do a bet, we need to find out who we're all betting on now.
Well, I feel like I'm gonna say TL as well, and then Heather's gonna get screwed because she's gonna pick TSM just for the lulz.
Just for the lulz, yeah.
What's your number though?
I think it's gonna go 3-1.
3-1 TL. Okay. What do you got?
If we're doing a bet, I'll pick TSM.
No, you don't. You don't have to do a bet. We don't have to at all. And even then, we already have me and Chase on different numbers.
Yeah. So are we just picking like?
We could do a bet based on the numbers even. Whoever's closest.
All right, then I'll go 3-0 TL just to have the difference. But I do think TSM
you want us all to be different.
Yeah, just
pick what you actually think if you're gonna
fuck
do a
if
bet.
I know. Like I thought,
Duck
you know,
agrees
We
with
need
me.
your actual thing.
you know, everything would be different up until this point. Everything I've ever picked has been either right or wrong on a 50-50 chance of nothing that I can perceive or, you know, make
that's
choices
how
on half of the
predictions
time.
work.
But so fuck
ESP
it.
isn't fucking real.
It could go 3-0 is all I'm saying.
I would like to say that.
What's
I
your-
doubt it, though. So,
if you
given
had to
that-
bet $20 on this, where would you put your money, regardless of what we picked?
3-2 TL.
3-2 TL.
3-2
All right.
Yeah.
What shall we make this bet? It's me and Heather on a side for once, rather than you and me on a side and her on the outside.
It means you guys are gonna lose, and I like it.
I don't know. You usually lose.
Who won predictions for the split?
That's true.
Okay, out of bets, you have won 2 out of like 5.
Okay, my betting is not great.
Don't gamble.
And 5 might be underestimating the total
I-
number.
I-
of
it's
bets.
just-
Pretty
I know
bad.
you've only won 2.
Yeah.
Because you won 1 food bet and you won 1 drinking bet ever.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, what's our? We need to figure out a bet here. If chat has anything, we'll go in on that too. Does anybody else have thoughts though? We kind of glanced over it a bit. Cloud9 improvements into next season. I said I think they just need to clean it up. They need to play a little more like TSM and TL. Not in that they're slow, but that they have more cohesive team fights.
I mean, Zazel's still kind of young blood on that team, like, and in the LCS in general. So I think that he's going to get better.
Niski too. He's
And
gonna
very
be
much
split.
Niski, yeah, exactly. And so I really don't think that they have to do much more than clean it up, like you said. Like, I mean, I know that's kind of a cop-out, but, like, I think that getting a little bit more experience under their belts, like, I think it's a good way for, like, I think they'll do better.
Yeah.
You have to
When
do
someone
that.
says you don't have to do a bet, it means you have to
don't
do
get me
the
wrong, I
bet.
like doing them, so it's like, and I don't mind picking a different team to be different, but if you're asking me to pick on who I think will win, it's probably TL.
So we've mostly done food bets. And those have
If
been,
TSM wins,
those have been enjoyable. Should
Yes,
we
I
stick
like
with
food
We,
bets. I'm
we could do a
alright with
weed
that.
bet since she'll smoke, and I know you will potentially smoke.
I'll waste your marijuana.
I'm not smoking marijuana.
I'm not. I don't have a problem with wasting your cannabis money.
Yeah.
You think I have money?
I definitely don't. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Maybe we do a combination.
Sure. I think we could probably make that happen.
That works.
Because, I mean, let's be honest, what goes better with cannabis than munchies?
Oh, I thought
And
you meant beer. Like, beer and weed go really well together.
No, food and
weed.
weed.
I don't
Sweet food, yummy food.
I don't
I'm
actually
excited now.
get the munchies.
That'd be good.
Cheese balls.
Cheese balls would be pretty good.
Planters cheese balls?
No, not the cheese puffs, no. Like legit cheese balls.
Oh, like
Like
Pieces of
fried,
cheese?
no, fried
Oh.
cheese. He's talking about the little puff, like,
That's what I thought you were talking
I don't
about.
know. I mean, like, real
Cheese-
ass.
Okay, when you say cheese balls,
Like,
you
go
think
to
of little
A&W
orange
and get
ass
some
motherfuckers.
cheese balls.
It's really hard to find those at, like, so, like, in the Midwest, like, you go to every DQ and they've got cheese curds. They don't have them here.
At DQ here, there's not?
No,
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
I say because there's a DQ nearby and there's an A&W nearby.
The one that's on Colorado doesn't have it. The one that's down by the Tech Center doesn't have it.
We'll have to check the A&W near here because there's like one of those A&W/KFCs.
Apparently.
I've never been to that place. Like, I know
You've
exactly.
never heard of those called cheese balls? The fried ones? What do you always see them called?
cheese curds,
I
I'm
don't even know what
assuming.
the fuck you're talking about.
Like,
It's a little bit of
string
cheese,
cheese?
breaded and fried.
It's like string cheese. Like,
You've never had? Oh shit! Okay, that's the bet now.
The fried cheese sticks at like TGIF
No,
or
not
something.
not a mozzarella stick. It's just
Yeah,
a little.
those.
It's a little ball. It's usually cheddar.
Oh, all right. That sounds good.
You
I've
haven't
never had a cheese
lived.
ball.
I'm sorry. All right.
I'll eat them. They sound delicious.
They
They-
are.
yeah.
Okay then.
It's cheese and it's fried.
Oh,
it's amazing.
The Watering Bowl has them because I ordered them. They're not
So
the best
something
I've ever
food,
had, but
we can like confirm it probably in the Discord.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
depending on who has these cheese balls or if we can't even get them. but-
well, I know where we can get them. They're like 3 minutes that way.
And
Well,
what do we?
if A&W has them, they might be better.
Is it just like
Maybe.
a joint to split, or are we bringing like flour?
We'll figure it
All right.
out.
There's so many options.
Oh my god.
So many options.
Those pre-rolled joints, they're like $10, and this much of it fucks me up.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I
That
smoke
seems
a
like the
little bit at a
best choice
time.
then.
Like,
You should probably do that.
just one.
I'll
Like
have
I
to
can
lift over that day.
keep for 3 or 4
Well,
days.
and if you lose, like, you have to. That's just you on that joint.
No.
Okay, you know what's funny about these bets is that we generally all partake anyway.
Yeah, we
so
end up
I'm
sharing.
sorry if he's getting a joint. I'm smoking it.
It's not so much a bet. It's just an agreement that we're all gonna enjoy ourselves.
There
and
we
I'm
go.
okay
I
with
like
that.
that.
All
That's a
right,
good idea.
so let's go. Any questions from the viewers? Go ahead and start getting those in. Or topics you guys want to talk about. I'm gonna go ahead, close out the normal episode, and we can post that onto YouTube. But yeah, cool. So that's gonna be it for the regular episode of League of Loggers, episode 12. We'll be back after finals next week.
I'm so excited.
Woo, woo. Gonna see
And
who's
then
going to
Game of Thrones the
MSN.
next day?
MSI.
MSN.
MSI. All right. We'll stick around. Have a good night.